This video talks about active transport, but before we get to that, let's recall diffusion. So diffusion is going from high concentration to low concentration, and no energy is needed. But the problem is, what if I want to go the other way from low concentration to high concentration? Now here is an example of why we might want to do that. This is a plant grown in soil. We all know that the root of the plant is responsible for absorbing minerals. Now let's magnify this and think of it at the cellular level. We know that the mineral is found in the soil, but what if the minerals in the soil has a lower concentration than the minerals in the cells? When this is the case, we know that diffusion cannot help the plant to absorb minerals. So in this case, we will need active transport. So we know that one of the things that active transport can do is that it can move things from a low concentration to a high concentration, or against the concentration gradient. It is a process that requires energy, and so it happens only in living cells. Moreover, carrier proteins on cell membrane are involved in this process. Here is how it happens. This is the cell, and you also have a carrier protein here. Now, this is the thing that you want to absorb into the cell, okay? Now, let's look at this thing. Because this substance has a shape that can fit into the carrier protein, it will fit onto the carrier protein. And then, with the input of energy, this carrier protein can change in its shape. When the shape of the carrier protein is changed, then you can see that the substance will come out from the other side and successfully enter the cell. And of course, the carrier protein can always change back to its original shape to take in more of the substance that you want to absorb. Here are two things to note about active transport. First of all, energy is needed. So it only happens in living cells. If the cell is dead, it can no longer do active transport. Secondly, active transport can also actively bring things from a high concentration to a low concentration. One example is the absorption of glucose in the small intestine. In the small intestine, you already have a higher concentration of glucose in the lumen than in your cell. But in order to speed things up, your cells will also use its carrier proteins to absorb glucose in the manner of active transport.